In the previous two videos, we have learned about classroom management, which involves cooperative learning. So we called it cooperative class management. And also we looked into some of the nuts and bolts of cooperative learning, how to manage teams and materials, time, space, etc. In the second video, we saw an actual class that used cooperative learning. And I hope that you have captured a little picture or glimpse or perspective of what a class that uses cooperative learning. Right now, I'm going to share with you two very important things. Cooperative learning, making it work. And how we make it work is that we use the most powerful tool of cooperative learning, which is the multivariate structures. And apart from that, the second thing that I will talk to you about and share with you is about social skills. Well, let's start with implementing classroom structures and innovating the structures from time to time to fit into local situations and also with problems that we face when we implement CL structures. Structures are instructional strategies that facilitate cooperative learning and achievements. So they are ways in which we handle the class, carry out learning and teaching activities in a way that it fits into any kind of situation or subjects. Now, cooperative learning structures really help in learning together in a fun and mutually beneficial way, which is what social learning is all about. There are many ways in which we can categorize the hundreds and perhaps even reaching to thousands of structures right now. But cooperative learning structures is best if we can keep it simple so that we don't have too many categories in which we try to remember them. So here are 4 ways in which I think will probably cover in some way or another any structure to fall into a certain category. Cooperative learning structures can be used for knowledge building and thinking skills. And then secondly, it can be used for enhancing communication skills. Thirdly, in information sharing. And then fourthly, in mastery. Now let's begin with knowledge building and thinking skills structure. This is about sparking critical and creative thinking, which is a very important aspect of 21st century education. And that's why we introduce to you cooperative learning. Now, knowledge building and thinking skills structures help to develop students' ability to generate, to question, to combine, to categorize, recategorize, evaluate, and apply information. All part of the skills that is needed in education, especially in the area of learning. And to have students be able to create and exchange novel, unique, set-breaking ideas to low consensus questions. In other words, we are hoping that these structures will help them to work together to achieve all these purposes. It also helps to prepare students for information-based high-tech technology economy, whereby today the world it has a deluge of information. How do we share it? How do we generate it? How do we dispense it? That is what these structures will help prepare our students with the needed skills. Now, as you can see, this is a lot of different structures and it doesn't cover everything. But what we will do is that we will introduce some of these structures in this video, and then we will pass on to you a list of these structures in the PowerPoint slides. And you can go through it bit by bit. My recommendation is don't be overwhelmed by it, but start with one or two, which will help you to grasp the dynamism of cooperative learning structures. So these are the categories in which knowledge building and thinking skills can be categorized in the KCL structures. Let me introduce to you, first of all, a very simple but yet a very effective way of starting a class. It doesn't have to be the starting of a class. It can be when you feel that the class is having a low ebb. And this mix, freeze, and pair is like an energizer. If it's not an energizer, in the beginning, it can be an introduction or an icebreaker. Here, the teacher announces mix and the students walk around the classroom. The teacher then announces freeze and the students all stop dead. The teacher then announces pair and the students find a partner who is nearest to them. After they have paired up, the teacher then announces the discussion topic or task for the pair work. So they will talk in their pairs. The pair discusses the topic or perform the task, and then the students mix, freeze, and pair for each new topic or task, or even to just repeat what has been done with a different pair. So let's look at it here. In this classroom situation here, you see the teacher will give the instruction, and the students will come out of all their various teams. So they don't stick to their teams. They just come out and walk around the classroom. And when the teacher says freeze, they will freeze. And then when he says pair, what they will do is that they will mix around in pairs, just like this, all over the classroom. It doesn't have to be in any form or order. Wherever the students are, wherever they are standing in the classroom, they will gather together in pairs like this. And the teacher will then announce what they are supposed to discuss. The students then take part in a discussion as pairs. When they are done, the teacher will then either repeat it or just continue with the class. So here you find that the students are involved in this mix, freeze, and pair. Now, a variation of this is called mix, freeze, and group. Now, we repeat the same thing. The only thing now is that the teacher will have an option to group them in whatever numbers he wants. So like the same situation, the teacher will ask them to walk around the classroom and then freeze. When he freezes, then he will announce to them either by verbal, saying collect together in threes, or he can just show 3 fingers and the students will then gather around in the classroom in a group of 3 people. And again, it doesn't have to be in any certain order. It can be all over the classroom as long as they can gather together as a group of 3. Again, the teacher will then give the task or the discussion question and they can then go ahead and discuss it. After that, either the teacher will end the whole structure and move on with the next part of the lesson. So you can see this is a very fun way in which you can introduce a class, or if you see that students are now having low energy, losing their attention, this gets them going again. It gives them a new enthusiasm, a new motivation, a new energy to move on to the next part of the lesson. Here's another one for knowledge building. It's called Think, Pair, and Share. It's very popular because it is very easy to implement and it happens in the group. Just now it happened in a class, now it can happen within a group. So a problem is posed by the teacher. The students are given some think time for themselves as they think about the problem that was posed by the teacher. And they form pairs to discuss the question. Now, how do they form pairs? The teacher has already labeled them in each group. Yeah, so they are labeled according to numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. So group A has 4 members, group B has 4 members, and they are all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So he can then say number 1 and 2 you pair up, number 3 and 4 you pair up for this. And the students then discuss the question, and they are called to share the answer with the whole class after a certain period of time. So here you find the teacher, first of all, the teacher in the classroom will pair them off, 1 and 2, 4 and 3 and 4. Of course, you can pair up again 1 and 4 next time, and 2 and 3, so that you have a different partner. So here you have it. The teacher will then give the task to the students. And so they will have the discussion happening in all the different groups as we indicate here. The pairs will talk, and this gets them talking about the problem, preparing them to be able to be more bold to share in the whole class later. So this gives them a trial run of what they want to say later. So after they have discussed for a period of time, according to the teacher's preference, they then engage as a class. The teacher leads this discussion right now, and he will ask the team A to share what they have discussed, because they will be able to then give the answers and what they have discussed to the teacher as it happens in the classroom. You can have a lot of variety in how you handle this. There can be also another variation of this. It's called think, pair, square instead of share. The problem is posed by the teacher, and the students think alone about the question for a specified amount of time in the same way as think, pair, share. The students then discuss the questions in their team, as a pair and then as a team. And the students are called to share the answer with the whole class. So it happens just like that just now. The teacher will give the question to the students, set them into pairs. Yeah, again, you can vary the way in which you pair them up. And then after they have paired, then they will discuss in the team, within the team. So the pair will come back together in the team, and they will again talk about what they have discussed, what they have brainstormed, what they have answered, and after which it will be back to the classroom again, where the teacher will handle, he will ask each team to share what they have discovered, what they have agreed together. And the whole thing happens in a classroom situation, the whole class. Again, this is a very effective way in which you build knowledge. Now, we come to the second type of group of structures. This is called communication skills structure. It enhances communication within the team and also within the class. There are different types. Communication regulators help equalize communication among team members and help promote positive communication patterns. So you don't have a situation whereby someone dominates the whole discussion, or some people remain dormant and quiet and non-contributing to the team. There's also decision makers where the help teams make decisions while replacing individual opinions. Communication builders help build specific communication skills. So these are the reasons to use communication skill structures. Again, you can see there's a whole lot of different structures that will help in communication. I will probably describe one or two, but you can again look into the PowerPoint slides that we provide for you to be able to go and check out which one you would like to try out and perhaps even to master first. The first one I would like to introduce to you is the inside-outside circle. I love this because it again is a very good icebreaker or an energizer. The class is divided into 2 equal numbered teams. Half of the students form an outside circle and the other form the the inside circle. And each pair faces one another. You can see that in the picture on the left, whereby they stand facing one another. The teacher then gives a question and they discuss. The student in the outside circle shares first, and then the student in the inside circle listens. Now then the teacher claps her hand once to get their attention or to start the conversation. And the pairs then reverse their roles without changing positions. The teacher then claps his hand twice, and the students in the inside circle rotates anti-clockwise to form a new pair after they have discussed with one another. So that means the two students, first of all, one will share, the other listen. Then they will listen, the other will then share, and the other listen. After that, they will change position to form a new pair. The process is repeated with either the same or a new question. Yeah, so you look at it, it is somehow like this. Excuse me. Now, they are standing and they will share with one another, the topic given by the teacher. And you can see this happening in the classroom in the picture, as you can see here. After some time, there will be time to form new pairs. And you can either move anti-clockwise or clockwise, depending on when you want to form new pairs. Now, it's very important that when you do this, you ask the students to remember where their position is, so that the starting position is always the same, without having to reorganize the class over and over and over again, which takes up a lot of time. You can also have a variation in which the students can move about in pairs. And there are many other variations. This one is they can move about as a team and move around in the inside-outside circle format in the same way. Now, here's another one, a communication which I love because it is so effective. It is called the talking chips. So every member has a chip. You can give them a chip, and each of them has probably 2 chips. This chip is to allow them to talk. Now, if you don't have chips, you can just ask the students to take out something they own. It could be a pen, it could be a rubber, or whatever it is that is their own, to represent or to take the part of the chip. So what happens is that they all put their chips or their possession right in the middle of the table. And every time they what is that? They hold on to their chip or their whatever they have, and when they want to talk, they will put their chip into the center of the table. Once they have spoken, you can always limit it to maybe 3 or 4 sentences so that someone doesn't dominate. And then when he has finished the 3 or 4 sentences, another person will talk, and this will go on from one person to another until all the chips are done. So if we look at it, what happens is that the teacher will say, we are doing this talking chips. And he will give, or she will give, the question to all the students. The students will then play their role, in which they will, when they want, they will put out a chip, and each one will have a certain way of putting. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, given that, so there's given 2 chips. So this one has already given out 2 chips. This means that they are then not allowed to speak anymore. So number 2 has used their chips. So he's not allowed to speak anymore. So it has to be the other 3. And then number 1 speaks, and again, he cannot speak anymore. This means this will continue until everyone has spoken. In other words, you find that they will not be able to talk more or dominate. And in addition, the one who normally does not talk will be required to speak. So they will all have spoken, and once they have spoken, they used up all their chips, then they can all take back their chips and restart and continue the conversation. So you have to see that you can have a lot of different type of variation to this. You can use chips, you can use no order, colored chips, and all those things. Yeah, just look into the PowerPoint slides and look at the information. So now we have the third test category, which is called the information sharing structures. This disseminates knowledge and ideas, resulting in collaborative leverage. This is very important because once you have asked them to brainstorm in any areas, you want them to be able to share the information in the most efficient manner. Now, information sharing structures, you have the sharing information within the teams for team building, tutoring, concept development, and creating positive peer response teams. You can also have sharing information among teams for class building and higher level thinking. Again, you can see that there's so many different structures which you can implement. I will only be able to describe one or two for you. Please look into the PowerPoint slide with its whole range of information sharing CL structures. Let me share one, which is called the stand and share. This is a very good way in which you can collect information. As first of all, the teacher poses a question. The students think of their answer on their own or in pairs. The students who have answered the question stands up. And when all students have stood up, one student is asked to give his answer, and then the pair sits down. Other students who have similar answers can also sit down so that there is no repetition. We don't want a situation where the same answer is said over and there's time wasted. The process is repeated with another student who is still standing, and this continues until all students are seated. So what happens is, in a classroom, you will see that the teacher will ask everybody, will give the question, the task, and all the students will be discussing either or thinking on their own, and then they will all stand where they are, right? In their various places. They can be standing in their groups, in this, where they are seated, and everybody is standing. The teacher then asks one student to share, and when he has shared, he then is allowed to sit down. Now, the rest of the students will then listen to the answer. If they don't have anything new to add on, they can also immediately sit down. So some of them will choose to sit down because they have nothing to add on. While you see the rest who are still standing, they will be asked, they are called upon to share. So like, for example, this guy will share, and then he can sit down, and the process continues on and on until everybody has seated. Now, when I carried out this, it worked fine in the beginning. But then there was a problem that I noticed. I started to see that the students caught on that they don't have to give their answer. They can choose to sit down even though they have a different point that has not been brought up. But because they don't like to talk in public, or they're just lazy to express themselves, they just sit down and it's done. So I discovered that this stand and share was problematic in that way. So I had to innovate. I had to think, how can I make sure that this does not happen too often? So I invented what is called share and sit. This time, the teacher will give the stand-up signal, and the teacher will ask a question about what has been taught, and the student will put up their hand to share, and he will be called upon. Now, the difference here is that the only way you can sit down is that you have shared, you have contributed something. And I usually emphasize that you must contribute something different, something that has not been said. So in a situation like this, here you find that again you will see that the teacher will give the question. Everybody will stand in all the different places where they are seated. They will all stand. And what happens is that the teacher will then open up the time for the students who want to give their answer. So maybe this student here will put up the hand first, and he will share, and then he will sit down. Now all the rest cannot sit down until they have volunteered. So usually but after they have known this structure for some time, they know that it is most beneficial to share as early and as quickly as possible. Because by the time a lot of people have shared, what happens is that new ideas are pretty much hard to come by, and they have to talk about, crack their head really to come up with new ideas that is different. So this encourages information sharing very quickly. You collect their thoughts very, very quickly. There's the motivation of being able to sit down that helps them to share their ideas as early and as quickly as possible. Now the last group or category of structures is called the mastery structures. In everything that we teach, we want our students to master the skills or the knowledge that they are being taught in the class. Now in the mastery structure, we help them acquire a high level of basic skills and information to master a broad range of content to maximize the chances that all the students will produce the same answer when asked certain consensus questions. Here we see a whole lot of mastery CL structures which we can, as I suggest to you again, go look into the PowerPoint that we provide for you. But let me describe one of this structure which is a mastery. This is called numbered heads together. This was a NHT. This was one of the structures that was very early in the formation when it comes to cooperative learning structures. So here you find that every student in each team is given a specific number, which we have already talked about in the classroom management or CL classroom management. Teachers give a question or task, the teams put their heads together and discuss their answer to the teacher. That's why it's called numbered heads together. The teacher calls out one number, and every student with that number in each team will give their team's agreed answer. So here you find how this will happen. Like for example, let's say the teacher gives the task. So they will discuss in all their different groups. Everyone in the group will contribute and they will agree. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, they come together, they're numbered heads together. They will discuss and come up to an agreed answer. Then the teacher will take over by calling out a number. He will call out a number to them. What is this number? Well, it could be any number from 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let's say he calls out number 2. And so all the number 2s in the groups here, number 2, will have to stand up in their groups. They stand up and the teacher then have a choice to be able to call any of them who is standing in their group situation. Let's say in team F, this student shares, and when he has shared and is sufficient, then he can sit down, and then the teacher can call any other groups in a stand and share kind of way if he prefers to do that. Okay, so this is what we call the teacher's role of running the NHT, numbered heads together. Now, the problem here that I find when I carry this out is that sometimes it takes quite a lot of time, and not everybody gets to share because only certain people are asked to share. So I came up with this innovation, which is called different share. Now, instead, we still have the same. The teacher gives a question. They all discuss the question in the group, and then the teacher will give the go signal, and they will go to form another group, which is different numbers. So if you look at it, it will be something like this. The teacher will give the task, and all the groups will discuss together in their various groups. As they do so, they will come to an understanding of what the answer should be when they go to their numbered groups there. Now they are just discussing in the alphabet groups. But when the teacher then moves on to the next phase, he will ask them to go to a new group. So all the number ones, as you can see here from the team A, B, C, D, E, and F, will meet in the new group. The teacher will then assign all the members of team A to be the new leader who will be the encourager for the number group. So in team B, team A, so in the new number, like for example, team 2 here, when the member goes here, team A who goes here will be the new leader. And the team A who goes here to number 3 will also be the new leader here in team 3. And then number 4, the team A member will also be the new leader. And the discussion, the sharing will then be carried out there. So what you find that is with different share, every member of each team will be required to present, and presentation is then carried out. So during the time of presentation, what happens is that the teacher will choose to go and visit one of the groups and stay there. Like for example, the teacher can then choose to go and listen in on number 3, and all the presentation that is done here in group number 3 should be roughly about the same, because they have members from all the different teams over there sharing the answer. So here you have a different share in the group. Here's another one. Mastery structure. Send a problem. So here, each team will generate a question, and the question is then circulated from team to team, collecting response. The one side of the paper is the question, the other side is the answer, and every time a team gives the answer, they will write their team label, which is A, B, C, D, or E. And then it goes round until it comes back to the team that gave the problem. So you find here what happens is that now we don't have the teacher always asking the question. You have actually the students. After they have learned the lesson, they will generate a question, and in generating the question, they need to also know the answer. That's why it requires some measure of mastery when they do so. So then, after that, for example, Team A will send their question to Team B to get the Team B's answer, and when Team B has finished answering, it will pass to Team C. And when they have passed to Team C, like here from Team A to Team B to Team C, and then go on to Team F, and then to E, D, and finally it comes back to Team A. And Team A will look through the answer and check it, and if they want to, the teacher can ask them to discuss the answer. Now, a variation of this is trade a problem. Trade a problem, again, the teams will generate a problem or a question, but this time, we want them to work with the team which is nearest to them. They will exchange problems, and then they will discuss the answers within the two teams. So each team will generate a question. Yeah, as you see it here, everybody will put their heads together and generate a question. This question is then exchanged. As you can see, Team A exchanges with Team B, Team C exchanges with Team F, and Team D exchanges with Team E. Again, once they have exchanged, the answer is then given. Like for example, Team A gave the question to Team B, Team B returns the answer to Team A checks it and then tells Team B whether it is correct or whether it is wrong or whether it needs to be modified, the answer. After that, it is Team B's turn to have given the question, and Team B will then receive the answer back from Team A, and it will mark it whether it's correct, wrong, or whether it has to be modified in a certain way. So this is another way. So I'm going to end very soon, but let me give you a few tips about carrying out these structures. First, when you implement, you need to implement one structure at a time. Don't have too many structures. Make sure your student learn the name of the structure. After they have learned the name of the structure, you carry it out. Repeat that structure at the closest time that is possible so that they learn and get familiar with how the whole dynamics of running that structure. Repeat the structure until you sense the students got it. Aim for familiarity that is seen in automatic response without queries. So if the student have to ask, where do I have to go? What do I have to do? Then you know they haven't gotten the structure yet. Teach the name of the structure, as I said. Don't change it unless you innovate to become a new structure. And tweak the structure when you find its implementation is problematic. Now, sometimes innovation is not because it is problematic, but because it's situational. That means a situation requires you to figure out to have a new structure. So I was carrying out some of these lessons, and I wanted to find out how to be able to carry out a discussion with the students, whereby I can find out what's happening in the group. So I came out, and I thought about it, I came up with what is called one group and share. What is one group? The teacher gives an assignment, the team discusses the assignment, the teacher calls out a number, and the students of that number from each group gathers in front of the class with the teacher. The rest of the team members continue working on the assignment. The structure stand and share is used by the teacher to monitor the progress made by each team, and also the teacher will give his feedback. The students will then have to return to their respective teams to share what they have received in the discussion in the front of the class. So here you have it. Looks something like this. The teacher gives the problem, the question, the team all discuss it. While they are all in discussion, the teacher will call out a number. Let's say number 1. And all the number 1s will go out from each team, as you can see here, to gather in front with the teacher. The teacher will discuss what is the progress with the question that is being given. And he will listen, or she will listen, and give feedback. Maybe to give another question to prompt them to a further step. And so that we will find that that member will all then return to their various teams and tell them what they have learned up front with the teacher. Okay, so that's a very important part. I will again say, please look into the PowerPoint slides to look at the various structures, and you will try out each structure. And by the time you learn some of these many different structures, your class is going to be so creative, so dynamic, so engaging, that you'll find the whole dynamics, the whole atmosphere of the class change. Now, let me end with another very important matter, and this is called social skills. You know, in this age, whereby a lot of people are talking in a way with online people, social skills is not a given. It has never been, actually. We have to inculcate social skills, but now more than ever, we have to teach our students to to function in groups. And that's why social skills is important. Social skills means there's respectful and responsible ways to work cooperatively in teams. What can cause cooperative learning to fail? Well, there are two main things. One is they lack the ability or the skill to work together. The other is they lack the desire, the will. They do not want to work together. So either way will cause a failure for cooperative learning in some of the groups. Remember, good teammates are made. You have to teach them intentionally. You have to teach them social skills specifically. Good teammates are made, not born. So how do you inculcate the learning of social skills in the learning and teaching process? Let me suggest that social skills need to be taught explicitly. That means you have to name a certain skill, and then you intentionally teach them how to practice that social skill. Get your students to brainstorm about how to be a good teammate. That will be a good way to start first. So you hear from them, and students will be able to give you some of very good examples. So you can use this bubble map, characteristic of a good teammate, ask the students to just brainstorm how to be a good teammate. Here are just some of the possible answers to be a good teammate. A good teammate will ask for help when needed, will be able to extend help when able, focuses on the task. A good teammate will give praise to the other teammates, give positive and sincere, encouraging words, listen first instead of always talking, apologizes when needed. So these are just a few of the characteristics of a good teammate. You can ask them to share a little bit more. Then you can also share your experiences, because you also have worked in teams before, and sometimes working in teams can be rather challenging. What have you learned about how being a good teammate, how to have social skills? Share your experiences with them. Here, I have provided for you a list of social skills. There is a spectrum of social skills required to be a good team member. And these are just a few. Help when requested, lead but not too bossy, participate without dominating, know how to motivate members, listen to understand perspectives, accept rejection gracefully. That's very important. Not get angry when people disagree with you. Know how to take turns in talking and sharing. Show yourself to be trustworthy. Is this all? No, there's much, much more. So you can see there's so many of these social skills. And that's why sometimes without these social skills in each of the members, groups can go into challenging times. Here you see another set of skills, social skills. So you can find that working together in small groups is not a given. You don't always find successful group functioning in your group. You can ask yourself, what are the top 5 priorities when it comes to teaching social skills so as to ensure a healthy team, and why? When you ask these questions, you form a priority list. Which one should you teach first in this sequence chart? Now, how to teach social skills? Well, first of all, you need to show the need of that social skill so that it contributes to the team. Map the needed social skill. Yeah, that means you tell how it is carried out, involve the students in the practice, and then have reflection on the success, and then do a follow-up on it if there is need to continue to involve the students in practice. Now, it is very important to understand that the normal life cycle of teams is not always easy. It doesn't grow naturally, but there is a life cycle in which there is a forming, there's a functioning, and fermenting, and then formulating. Well, what are these 4 stages here? Well, in forming, you put them into groups. They have to start learning to work together. That's the forming part. And you can see all these different things that will happen in the forming stage. And then they function together. as a team. That's when they start working together, doing all the things that is needed to be successful teams. As they function together, it is only natural there will be some fermenting. That means they will start disagreeing. They will be they need to have all kinds of ways in which they can compromise and to cooperate together. And finally, there's the formulating, which is summarizing and all these different skills. Take a look at this. You can pause the video and have a look at it and check out for yourself, thinking through how these social skills for cooperation can work. And you can again prioritize which are the important things that you need to teach them along the way. In forming, you stay and working together. Functioning, there's active listening. Functioning, you can suggest that negotiating and coming to a consensus is important. Fermenting, disagreeing appropriately and respecting differences. Formulating, making sure everyone understands. So this is just like an example of how you can sequence teaching them about the 5 different stages and what is important as a social skill. Well, we have completed this very important part of how to make cooperative learning work. What we see is that the structures help you to have a very interesting, engaging, and dynamic involvement of students in the learning process together as a group. As you do that, you will also find that social skills are very much needed. And so you need to intentionally from time to time talk about these social skills that are needed, and especially as you see friction happening in different groups. But you don't have to wait until friction happens, disagreements happen before you talk about social skills. While all this is happening, you need to have all the nuts and bolts of cooperative learning happening in the various classroom situations. As you put all this together, you practice more and more, it becomes a routine in your classroom. Cooperative learning then becomes a natural part of your classroom as you carry it out structure after structure as appropriately. Now, remember again, we don't form cooperative learning classes. We use cooperative learning as appropriate in your lesson, and as you do so, you will be able to improve in your classroom engagement, classroom learning, social learning, and as you teach them, your students will begin to enjoy working together, enjoy working in the learning in the classroom, and your task as a teacher becomes much more easier from time to time. It won't be easy in the beginning, but persevere. Persevere until your students find that this is a culture that is accepted and enjoyed in the classroom. So I hope you will really try out this cooperative learning and learn how to make this such a routine to enhance learning and teaching process in the classroom. God bless you all. Let us know how this will happen, how it has happened in your classroom. Come and share with us some of your things that you learn, some of the challenges that you face, and how even some of the innovation that you have to implement in your classrooms to make it work. God bless you, and thank you very much.